tell a story, let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you, make them hear you. How justice was our battle, and how justice was denied. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black or white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Go out and tell a story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you. When they hear you, I'll be with you.
Oh, wow. Yes, Fiona, I agree. Wow. Oh, I shouldn't have done that to myself. Really, really hard to start now. We are so lucky. By the way, I'm Jim Brown. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chair of Vocal Studies here at PLU, and tonight marks the grand finale, and it is grand indeed, to our fall series of masterclasses. We've had such an incredible fall semester of masterclasses, and tonight we welcome a very, very special artist, someone who I met, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. I was fortunate enough to work with him. And I realized that this is one of the great voices in the world today. Limmie Pulliam, tenor, dramatic tenor, although sings with a gorgeous lyricism, as you heard in the videos I played before this class. Went to the Oberlin Conservatory, studied with world-renowned pedagogue Richard Miller. He went on to, was a winner in the Marcello Giordani competition in Sicily. And, sorry, I'm still overwhelmed by that last song. He went on to sing all over the country, and he Canadian Opera Company. He was just starting doing lots of performances of Otello in concert, and then also was involved in a stage production of that wonderful opera by Verdi in Canada. And Lemmy has been using the power of his voice, not just to give wonderful performances of Verdi. But as you heard in the last song there, he's also been using his voice for political movements and very needed messages that need to get out to the public. And in fact, he just had a meeting tonight where he was talking about. We'll talk to him a little bit about that in a second, about politics and that sort of thing today, which is a difficult subject, of course. But anyway, without further delay, let's bring him on. Please welcome Limmie Pulliam to our masterclass. Lemmy,
Hey,
welcome
Jim. How
to,
are you?
welcome to you. Welcome to you. We are so honored that you're joining us. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to be here with you guys.
Man, you just totally slayed me with that performance. Well, really, I should say all of your performances, but you really surprised me with the last one I played there. Not only a gorgeous performance, but to hear someone with your instrument. Here we have who I consider the premier dramatic tenor of a generation here, and here you're singing musical theater. And singing it with your voice. I mean, you're not singing it with a musical theater style, but I mean, it's the real deal, and I really appreciate that.
Well, it's musical theater is actually where I got my start. Was,
Is that right?
other than singing in the church as a kid, I'm a preacher's kid, so obviously I grew up singing in church from a very young age. And got involved in choir in middle school, and it was in high school that I really discovered my love for being on stage through musicals. I did Guys and Dolls, sang the role of Nicely Johnson.
Oh,
Did a production of Pippin, where I was the leading player. I did a production of The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
oh, I see. I
And
didn't know this about you.
yeah, and then I did a production of the oh gosh, The Music Man, where I was the tenor in the ice cream.
Oh, you. Yeah, that was one of my first roles actually. When you're the only person around that can hit that high B flat, they're like, "Hey, kid, come over here."
Yeah, I got something for you.
Right.
Theater has always been something I loved, and it was not too long after everything started going on, and after the George Floyd incident, and I happened to be lying in bed one night, and I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I just kept tossing and turning, and tossing and turning, and so I got on YouTube and started just listening to random things, and came across a recording of Brian Stokes Mitchell singing. This is kind of a signature tune for him,
Sure.
and was so moved by it. The next day I said, maybe I'll give it a try and see what comes of this. So I made an audio recording, and then something said, put together a little collage of photos to go along with it. So I spent the next couple hours just looking for all these photos that kind of went along with the message, and just went on this emotional journey of thinking about how far we've come, how far we've yet to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, it's an emotional thing for me to listen to as well.
Yeah, yeah. I when I was playing it, I was sitting here going, "Oh my God, what have I done?" I don't know if I can go on right now. But thank you for taking us on that emotional journey, and we've all been so moved by and saddened by, of course, all of the violence around. I mean, just tonight I heard about an attack in Vienna, terrorist
Yeah.
attack. I was just, in fact, hearing the excerpt of Otello that I played, I was thinking about a production of Otello that I saw at Staatsoper in Vienna in January. I was in January with a colleague and a bunch of PLU students touring Europe, and it was a lovely production. But I have to say, they needed you. They needed you, and I think it's important to note, and it's true. It's really true. I had a conversation with my colleague, Dr. Soon Cho, on our voice faculty. We welcomed Lawrence Brownlee. Do you know Soon?
We recently just became Facebook friends, but we have so many
Oh,
mutual friends. I don't know how we don't know each other.
oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can see the chat bar, but she said she's a pastor's kid too. So,
Oh, cool. Cool, cool, cool.
yeah, so y'all have that in common as well. Well, anyway, we were watching this production, and I was thinking, Lemmy should be up there. And I'm not saying that because you're a friend of mine, and we've worked together, but you know, as you and well, I don't know if you remember one of our first conversations, and I'm just gonna say this in front of everyone here that, one morning I was having coffee, and my wife, who went to Oberlin with you, said, "Hey, you got to hear this friend of mine from Oberlin. He just sang the national anthem at a ball game." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, yeah, national anthem." You're thinking, all right, yeah." She played it for me, and my jaw hit the floor. And I just happened to be struggling with how we were going to cast I Pagliacci at Vashon Opera.
Mhm.
That was going to come in about a year and a half's time or something. And I thought, I've got to look this guy up. And I want to tell you, your presence on YouTube, which by the way predated the pandemic by quite a bit. You were prescient in that regard. Here I find Vesti la Giubba with you sitting at your kitchen table singing Vesti la Giubba, and I'm like, here's Acanio. This is Acanio. Hallelujah, Acanio. So we spoke, and I said, well, it's hard to find a real dramatic tenor to sing Canio. And you said, oh, yeah, I know. A lot of people sing it who shouldn't sing it.
Yeah.
And then we had you come and sing it, and you sang that also in the Nessun Dorma in the same performance, the Pagliacci Palooza. And it was just, you brought the house down. I wish I could have played more applause because the audience could tell, but I'm sure they wouldn't be surprised to hear the length of the applause in that video, which just speaks volumes.
Well, it was kind of strange because it was probably not long before Jennifer came to you and said, "I want to play you this recording of a friend." I had just made the announcement that I was going to start singing again after I'd taken about almost 12 years off from singing. And I started posting some clips and whatnot, and I got a message on Facebook from Jennifer, and she said, my husband is the music director for an opera company. Would you mind if I played him some of your recordings on YouTube? I said, sure, why not? Not thinking anything would ever come of it, not thinking that I would ever hear anything from it. And so apparently she played it for you, and then you reached out to me, and we formed this friendship that that I cherish now, and I actually missed that I wasn't able to come back to see you guys over the last year. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had a Cavalleria Rusticana that we were to do last May, and of course the pandemic interrupted. But we will do it. Don't worry, and we'll do. And I'm lobbying now to throw Pagliacci back in and do a traditional Cav Pag. So so stay tuned for that.
Call me if you do that.
Oh, well, I will. I will call you. Oh, but back to my point. I got sidetracked. But Dr. Cho, Soon Cho, and I were talking to Larry Brownlee, famous American tenor.
Right.
And we were talking about racism in the opera world, systemic racism, and why you don't see more black singers on the stage. And you do, of course, when Porgy comes around or that sort of thing. But in other productions, and I brought your name up, and Larry just lit up, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's one of the greatest voices I've ever heard." And you have a real fan in Larry Brownlee. Well,
Larry has been. Larry is very well known in this industry worldwide. And to have someone like him in my corner, he has been a source of encouragement. He has been a source of information, and has just been a professional confidant in the way that someone that I could reach out to when I need advice or have a question about something or have a concern or am not sure if I want to pursue something. He's always been there. He's never not been approachable or been available when I needed him. And I can
Mm-hmm.
say that about several others in the industry with like Morris Robinson, who's the famous bass.
Mm.
Um, Both of them have been Karen Slack, uh,
Oh yeah.
Kenneth Overton, all of them, Russell Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
who you would think wouldn't because we sing some of the same repertoire. But Russell has been one of my biggest advocates in the industry, along with Larry and a few others. But back to Larry, he's just always been there. He's been um, just a wealth of knowledge in him, and he helped me make probably one of the best decisions I've made, and but professionally in the last year and a half. I made because of the advice I got from Larry, and I'll be forever grateful to him for always being there when I needed him.
Mm. That's so wonderful to hear. Well, I was thinking, here we're talking about not having enough black singers on the opera stage, and two of my favorite tenor voices in the world are black singers. You and Larry. you know.
Well, it's not that there's a shortage. There's no shortage of black opera singers.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know that.
There's a shortage of opportunity, and whether it's the issues that some general directors and intendants may have with seeing black males in romantic roles, um, whether it's some of the issues that some may have, like with myself seeing a person of size in a romantic role. Um, there's so many excuses people use as to why they don't want to hire a black singer.
Oh, and you know why? There's no excuse for that, because I'll give example of the tenor I saw perform Otello at Staatsoper. This was a very big man. I mean, size was not a problem, but he was white, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the room with those people, but I just can't. Anyway, we've covered that in Larry's class, and I don't want us to get too bogged down in it. And I know you have a lot to say about it too, but I know we also have a lot of singers that want to sing. So,
I,
well, no, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's anyway. But I want to, on a positive note, let me say this. I wanted to tell everyone about your Listen Up with Lemmy series of videos. If people don't know about this, look it up. Listen Up with Lemmy. And you have done some fantastic interviews with these huge stars. I mean, I've just loved watching those. And I imagine some of those people are your heroes too.
yeah, that was the impetus behind it was to be able to talk to people who inspired me to want to be an artist, and luckily I reached out to some of the biggest names in our industry from what we consider the golden age of singing, and they said yes when I asked if they would come on for an interview. So I've had the privilege of interviewing not just current singers, but Grace Bumbry,
I
um,
saw that. That was a fantastic interview. Yeah.
Cheryl Milnes, who was someone who I would have given my left leg to be able to sing with.
Yeah.
Um, I've even branched out of the classical music world and had my good friend Cheryl Crow come on and talk about her career, and so it's been great. I've been really lucky in the guests I've been able to get, and I'm looking forward to resuming that after the election's over.
Yeah, right. We all can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. We won't even go there. So, yeah. But anyway, I want to point out to everyone that you were so head of the game on being on the internet and having videos of yourself singing, even in very, like I said, sitting at the kitchen table or whatever, which I don't know how your neighbors put up with that, but that's a lot of sound coming from your house.
Luckily, one side the house was empty, the other side is a church, and then there's a graveyard, so they aren't complaining.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. Well, let's get to our singers because I know they're very anxious to get started. And our first singer, we'll let him come on and introduce himself, and I'm going to pop out of here and let the singing begin.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Trevor Kaitola, and this evening I will be singing Total Eclipse from Handel's Samson.
Wonderful.
O loss of sight, of thee I must complain. O worse than beggary, old age, or chains. My very soul in real darkness dwells. Total eclipse, no sun, no moon, all dark amidst the blaze of noon. Oh, glorious light, no cheering ray to glad my eyes with welcome day. Total eclipse. No sun, no moon, all dark amidst the blaze of noon. Why thus deprived thy prime decree? Sun, moon, and stars are dark to me. Sun, moon, and stars, sun, moon, and stars are dark to me. Sun, moon, and stars, sun, moon, and stars are dark to me. Thank
Bravo.
you.
Bravo, Trevor. That's very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
And let's see. How old are you, Trevor?
19.
19. Oh my goodness. Oh, good for 19. I wish I was didn't have some of the issues that have already some of the things you figured out at 19.
Thank you.
So let's tell me a little bit about this piece.
Uh-huh.
What's happening here?
Yeah, so he has it is the very beginning of the oratorio, and he has been come out for his like noon free time, but he's still chained up, and he has been blinded by the Philistines because it was talking about how like his strength comes from never cutting his hair. They cut his hair and they chained him up, and then they blinded him, and so now it's just kind of a lament about the loss of his sight.
Right. Okay. So the first thing I would say, and I know you're working with a recording right now, but once you get to the point where you're able to do this again with a live pianist,
Mm-hmm.
take more time during the recitative, uh,
Okay.
and don't be afraid to kind of on this piece. I wouldn't be afraid to kind of bring things kind of more internal in a way.
Okay.
Um, so when you do the first line, you have to don't think of it as just a series of notes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, loss of sight of thee, I must complain.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think of that as an oh, loss of sight of thee, I must
Okay.
complain. Or worse than beggary, old age, or chains. My very soul in real darkness dwells.
Okay.
Okay, so really feel like you'll be able to take the time you need um, when you start this. So let's do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to start this again. This time, as you said, he's been blinded.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to actually close your eyes.
Okay.
And usually, when you close your eyes, you can still sense light
Mm-hmm.
or where a light's coming from. So close your eyes and just kind of go into your own little world as you sing this
Okay.
recipe. Okay?
With accompaniment or without?
Yeah, with the accompaniment.
Okay. Cool. Maybe. Hold on. Sorry. Come back. There we go. Okay. O loss of sight, of thee I must complain. O worse than beggary.
Okay, hold on, Trevor.
Age.
Let's try it without the music for right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Just kind of go at your own pace on this. Okay?
Sight. O loss of sight, of thee I must complain. O worse than beggary, old age, or chains.
Okay, but still feel the line that's
Okay.
through that.
Okay.
Oh, loss of sight of thee, I must complain.
Okay.
Really kind of internalize you want that emotion to come out in those lyrics.
Okay.
Okay? You don't want it to sound like you're singing something that someone wrote for you and you're just singing and repeating it.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to feel almost as if this is just spontaneously coming out of you.
Okay.
So as you walk out into this darkness because your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
as you're feeling your way around, oh, loss of sight of thee, I must complain. Far worse than beggary, old age, or chains. So just really
Okay.
take your time with it, okay?
O loss of sight, of thee I must complain. Far worse than beggary, old age, or chains. My very soul in real darkness dwells.
Okay, how did that feel?
Definitely slow. I was living more like through the lines, which was just I did with taking
So
it a little slower.
be careful that when you go up to the worst
Yeah.
to not come off your support there.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
it got a little thin. So worse than beggary, old age, or chains. So really work those consonants.
Okay.
Those consonants in this will really help bring out that emotion.
Okay.
So more S. Oh, loss of sight, of thee I must complain.
Okay.
Really just over enunciate this
Okay.
thing. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, loss of sight, of thee I must complain. Oh, worse than beggary, old age, or chains. My very soul in real darkness dwells.
Okay, let's try it with music this time. And I know you can't do that tempo, but try to
Yeah.
bring that emotion to what you can
Okay.
in the time you have allotted with the recording.
Okay. Do you want me to continue to have my eyes closed, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, loss of sight, of thee I must complain. Oh, worse than beggary, old age, or chains. My very soul in real darkness dwells.
Keep going.
Total eclipse, no sun, no moon, all dark, amidst the blaze of noon.
So as you get into this into the audio here,
Mhm.
be careful as you're getting to all dark. Almost you don't want to, all dark. You don't
Okay.
add
Okay.
an H in there, okay? You
Okay.
want nice and legato. Total eclipse. So whatever you decide to do with that no sun, no moon,
Mhm.
you have to stay on your support for the moon.
Yeah.
I know you tried to do a little bit softer than the no sun, no moon. No matter how soft you do it, it's got to be supported. So
Okay.
don't do it so softly that you can't support it.
Okay.
Okay. All dark. Give me those final consonants.
Okay.
All dark amidst. So when you get that
Mhm.
amidst, don't feel like you have to make a big change going up through from the E to the G.
Okay.
Just a small shift from there.
Okay.
All dark amidst the. I don't have to do any.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's what the Italians call the una bocca raccolta, collected mouth. So you don't
Okay.
want to do anything here that's going to affect your vocalism, okay?
Okay.
All dark amidst the blaze of noon. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have it where you can start right on the aria proper?
Yeah. Or we'll find out. Or we'll play around with it. Those are before. Yeah. Total eclipse, no sun, no moon,
Nice.
all dark amidst the
on that part there.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. Oh, glorious light, no cheering ray to glad my eyes with welcome day. Total eclipse. No sun, no moon, all dark amidst the blaze of noon. Why thus deprived thy prime decree? Sun, moon, and stars are dark to me. Sun, moon, and stars, sun, moon, and stars are dark to me. Sun, moon, and stars. Sun, moon, and stars are dark to me.
Okay, good. You can stop it. We only have a couple minutes left. A couple of things. On where you have why thus deprived on that. No, don't add a portamento in there.
Okay.
Okay. Don't go why thus deprived. Okay. Decree, sun, moon, and stars are dark to me. Sun, moon, and stars, sun, moon, and stars. And same here.
Yeah.
Are dark. No portamento there. Are dark to me. Dun, 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 dun. Sun, moon, and be careful. In some areas, I'm noticing that you're allowing your chin to get a little bit elevated here,
Okay.
and that that starts to stretch this out here, and it really affects your vocalism. Okay, so you don't want to allow, because if you do this is going to collapse.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then you're going to be in trouble with your breath. Okay,
Okay.
and then your support's completely gone.
Yeah.
So if you can avoid this, you'll be able to keep this up where it needs to be, which will allow that expansion, that outward and downward expansion that you need. Okay, so just be mindful that you have a tendency to kind of
Okay.
allow the chin to drift up just a little bit, which for tenors can be kind of difficult because we have these little short necks. So, but just be mindful of that. But otherwise, I think you're off to a great start on this piece for 19 years old. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Great start. You have great dramatic instincts and great musicality and musical instincts, and I wish you all the best going forward with this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you, Trevor.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Trevor. Well done. Great. So, our next singer, I assume, is ready to go. So let's have our next singer come up and announce themselves.
Hello, my name is Arthur Keast, and I will be singing Empio dirò tu sei from Julius Caesar by Handel. Entrerò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà. Entrerò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà. Entrerò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, entrerò tu sei, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà, se tutto crudetà. Nora le queco che donasti a rigor, Nora le queco che donasti a rigor, che se no ha pietà, che se no ha pietà, che se no ha pietà. Nora le queco che donasti a rigor, che se no ha pietà. Che se no abita. Impererò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà. Empererò tu sei, togli gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà. Empererò tu sei, togli gli occhi miei, empererò tu sei, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà.
Bravo. Bravo. So this is not an easy piece, as you can hear. But great job. Great job. You got a nice foundation started here. I will admit this repertoire is so far out of my realm of being able to do it that I admire anyone who's willing to even get up and attempt this. So first off, I love the dramatic intention. But for now, for the sake of what we're doing now, let's dial it back just a bit, okay? We'll dial it back because we want to concentrate on the vocalism for right now. So you have the words empio dirò tu sei, okay? Yeah, I can't. Did you mute yourself? I can't.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just listening.
Okay, so if you can, just speak that first stanza for me.
Empio dirò tu sei.
And go on.
Occhi me, se tutto crudetà.
Okay, so listen. Say, repeat after me. Say empio.
Empio
Dirò,
dirò,
tu sei.
tu sei.
Yeah, you got to get both of those vowels in there. Sei, okay?
Sei.
Togliata,
Togliata,
togliati agli occhi miei.
togliati agli occhi miei.
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 There you go. So, I would take some time to kind of speak through the text to get it in your mouth first, and then speak it in rhythm. I think that will help. I would say as far as the melismas goes, I think you're off to a great start on these, because these are, you know, you hear in the old movies they used to say they wrote too many notes back in those days, but I think you really do have a firm, a kind of a grasp of what you want to do with those melismas. But I think the tempo is kind of hindering you right now.
Okay, yeah.
So I think we need to take time to just kind of bring the tempo down a bit, and then take time to kind of work through each of those individually, as you go through that first time. The second time you go through, you have I notice you do some of your own improvisations there. So you just want to make sure that, one, they suit the style, and that they don't get to the point where we can't tell if you're kind of still in the key, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not to say that's what you did, but I just think we need to slow them down for now, because there were times I noticed that the tempo, there's not much you can do now with the recording, as far as slowing that down. But in your own practice, I would suggest just taking the time, and just going phrase by phrase. Empioderò tu sei. Empioderò tu sei. That way you get that in there. Empioderò tu sei. And then togliati agli occhi miei. And then when you get to those melismas, I would take them one section at a time, one set of 16th notes at a time, and then just add on to it as you go. But just take it slowly. You got to walk before we can run, okay? And if you take the time to work on those in a systematic, slow, systematic way, then you can add the speed into it later on. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, and if we can start anywhere in that intro, we don't have to do the entire intro again.
Okay.
But this time I want you to concentrate on the text. Okay.
Got you. Empioderò tu sei, togliti agli occhi miei, sei tutto crudetà, sei tutto crudetà. Sei tutto crudetà.
Good.
Emperò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, sei tutto crudetà. Sei tutto crudetà. Emperò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, emperò tu sei tutto crudetà. Sei tutto crudetà, sei tutto crudetà.
So another issue we run into with arias like this, you repeat things quite a bit. You know, you say a lot. The empioderò tu sei, togliati agli occhi miei. You know, so each time you say these things, they need to be just a little bit different. Okay, because if you repeat it the same way over and over again, you know, it gets a little repetitive. So you want to have a little bit more different dramatic intention behind it each time you say it. It's kind of like the what's the baritone aria? When he says vedro, vedro. When he says vedro, 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 like 3 or 4 times, right? Each one of those has to have a different intention behind it. So each time you repeat the phrase "empioderò tu sei, togliati agli occhi miei," every time you repeat that, it's got to have, whether it gets a little bit more menacing each time, or what, it's got to have something about it that makes it different than the previous time you said it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let's do me a favor. Let's start with the farm, and I want you to start at your own tempo, and we're just going to slow it down. And I want you to sing through it just at a slower tempo. Okay. And we don't need the recording right now. So if you need it to get your initial pitch, use it. But then we're just going to take it at your own tempo.
Empioderò tu sei, togliti gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà.
See, now, and you obviously have practiced this slowly because you can do it slowly. Okay, so now we just need to make sure that when we speed it up that we keep that accuracy there. Okay, so it's not a matter of, I thought it might have been a matter of you not having practiced them slowly, but you obviously have, because you can. That would have been, I would not have been able to do that, to take it from that tempo and then do it so accurately that slowly. So it's obviously you've worked on this. So maybe it comes back to the whole dialing back the dramaticism a bit, so you can concentrate on the vocalism for now. We can convey dramatics through our voice, through the musical choices we make. Okay, it doesn't always have to be a menacing kind of, doesn't have to be big movements all the time. It can be just the slightest little thing that can be just kind of, it can be very intense, but not very, it have to be big. Okay, so let's try it again, and let's bring the dramatics down even more and back up to tempo, but really concentrate on the line of the melismas. Okay.
Should I do it with the recording or just without accompaniment?
We can do it without.
Okay. Empioderò tu sei, togliti gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà.
Okay, so make sure you're feeling the pulse of the beat as you're going through there on those 16 notes. Okay, if you keep that pulse going, you'll get there. Okay, you've got the accuracy, that you're getting the accuracy better, so just feel that pulse as you're going through there. Okay, one more time.
Empioderò tu sei, tolti gli occhi miei, se tutto crudetà, se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà.
Okay, can you start just on the melisma for me?
Se tutto crudetà. Se tutto crudetà.
That's how that's supposed to be done right there. Okay, so I don't know what did you do to do that way that time?
For me, I've got a kind of a silly way of doing things. I imagined little angel wings fluttering in motion to the beat.
Okay. Well, if that works for you, that works for you. So you keep that, because that actually worked. That was, the melismas that was accurate. The rhythm was good. you didn't have one of those where you got kind of sluggish in the middle. You kept the pulse. Okay. So that's if that's what it works for you, use it. That's the way, that's how we learn. We take what works for us and what doesn't. We learn to discern what works, what doesn't, and we take from here, we take from there, we take from bits of information from lots of different resources, and we use what works and we get rid of what doesn't. So yeah, continued luck with you on this. This is a beast of a piece, so I wish you all the best with it, and look forward to hearing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. Well done. Whole lot of notes there. Thank you.
Lots of notes.
A lot of notes. Whole lot of notes. Good, good. So our last singer can come on now and introduce themselves, and I will pop out.
Hello, my name is Kenan Bent, and I will be singing for you tonight Die Spielnis ist bezaubernd schön from Mozart's Die Zauberflöte.
Die Spielnis ist bezaubernd schön, wie noch ein Auge je gesehen. Ich fühl es, wie dies Götterbild mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt, mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt. Dieses Fass kann ich zwar nicht nennen, doch will ich's hier wie Feuer brennen. Sollt die Empfindung Liebe sein, sollt die Empfindung Liebe sein. Ja, ja, die Liebe ist allein. Die Liebe, die Liebe, die Liebe ist allein. Wenn ich sie nur finden könnte, wenn sie doch schon vor mir stände, ich würde und rein, was würde ich? Ich will, dass sie voll Entzücken an diesen heißen Busen drücken, und ewig werden sie dann mein, und ewig werden sie dann mein, und ewig werden sie dann mein, ewig werden sie dann mein, ewig werden sie dann mein.
Wow, great job, Kenan. That's good stuff. Good stuff. So this is another aria that, though it sounds simple, is not very easy. And unlike a lot of repertoire, this aria is sung by lots of different types of tenors. It's sung by your very light lyric tenors, leggero tenors, up to your. Do you have your ears in now?
Yes,
You hear
sorry.
me? Okay, that's okay. So this is one of those pieces that's sung by lots of different types of tenors, whether they're light lyrics up to held in tenors. Um, so in Germany, this would not be anything for a dramatic tenor or held in tenor to walk in with this on their audition list. I think you're again just great voices. I don't know what you guys are doing at PLU, but you got some great voices over there. So I would say from the very beginning, don't feel like you have to open too much the mouth. Okay. So as you start your first phrase, you want to have the space for the G on the very first note. Okay. So when you breathe to make that take your first to sing your first note, you're actually breathing and making the space for that G as opposed to the B flat. Okay. So you got to have that from the very beginning. And that will help you not have to make a big adjustment. If you do it for the B flat, if you go dies bep, dies bep besitzt bezaubernd schön. Everything's small here. Okay, it doesn't have to be big. Try to keep this not overly working here. Okay, so let's start it again. But I just want to encourage you to really, as you take your initial breaths for each phrase, to make the space for the notes that you have there, and to take advantage of the voiced consonants. There's so many great voiced consonants here that will help you as you're going through, whether it's dramatically or so even as you build up the dies Bildnis ist bezaubernd schön. Especially on the noch, don't open that too much. It's not wie noch kein. So you got to get that. So you have the ich louts and the ach louts. They have to have just as much breath. So it actually takes a bit more breath to sing in German than it does in other languages, because you have to have that extra, especially when you're dealing with ich louts and ach louts. So we can't get away with going wie noch kein Auge je gesehen. Okay. Ich fühle es. You got to get every consonant in there. Ich fühle es. Wie dies Goethebild. Mein Herz. Okay. So let's try it again and really work those voice consonants. And I think you'll see night and day and the phrasing on how easier the phrasing is going to get for you when you use those voice consonants to your advantage. Okay.
Okay. With the recording, right?
Yes, with the music.
Okay.
Dies Penis ist bezaubernd schön, wie noch kein Auge je gesehen. Ich fühle es, wie dies Götterbild mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt. Mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt.
Pause right there. So, did that A flat feel easier to you that time?
It did.
It sounded a lot easier. Okay, because it was in line, and it wasn't one of those notes that just kind of jumped out. You kept that line going through it, and it sounded like it was just like you were singing maybe an E flat or something. It didn't sound like a high note at all. So if you keep that line, work the voice consonants. you did a much better job at keeping the mouth very collected, okay, so that it wasn't kind of over enunciating with our lips and whatnot. Okay, let's start it and keep going from where you stopped.
Okay. That's where I was.
Tis etwas kann ich zwar nicht nennen, doch fühl ich's hier wie Feuer brennen. Soll die Empfindung Liebe sein, soll die Empfindung Liebe sein. Ja, ja, die Liebe ist allein. Die Liebe, die Liebe, die Liebe ist allein.
Okay, let's pause here. So just to kind of give you what we were talking about before with repeated text, when you say die Liebe, die Liebe, die Liebe, something's got to change there in the inflection or in the color. Just bring a different color or something to it. The third one kind of does it on its own with the ornamentation. Okay, so when you have the die Liebe, die Liebe, die Liebe. Okay, so even if it's just it doesn't have to be a volume change. It can be more of a color change than anything. So I don't think you have to get soft. Because I'm of the school that I think of dynamics and more of colors than actual amplitude and volume. So just a different color there. And let's try that once without the music. Can you do the Die Liebe?
Ist allein.
Okay, so careful. And one thing I'm noticing now that might help is don't feel like we have to get more heroic on the lower notes. Okay, because if you bring that lyricism down, it's going to help you as you go up. Okay, if you bring too much weight down, you're going to have a hard time taking that weight up to the top as well. Okay, so even when you get to that Die Liebe, die Liebe, die Liebe, stop. We don't have to do that. Ist allein. Okay, so try that one more time.
Die Liebe, die Liebe, die Liebe ist allein.
Bravo. And let's pick it up in the music where we stopped off.
Sure.
Pause it there. So this is a great section, especially for the voice consonants. So when you have going towards the könnte, oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte, oh, wenn sie doch schon vor mir stände. So ich würde, okay. Oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte, oh, wenn sie doch schon vor mir stände. Ich werde. Use that voice consonant. Werde. And this one is one you really need. Warm und rein. That voice consonant is really going to be a savior for you there, because without it, that G flat is a killer. Okay. Warm und rein. Okay. So let's do the Oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte. Without the music.
Oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte, oh, wenn sie doch schon vor mir stände.
Voice this. Ich werde. Keep going.
Ich werde
Good.
warm und rein.
Okay, can you give me even more on the voice consonant? Warm und rein. Give me more of the.
Warm und rein.
Okay, now that's a little, not more heft, but the energy from the. To make sure you get it going, all you gotta do is just let your jaw kind of fall open. Warm und rein.
Warm und rein, was werde ich?
Okay, and let's pick this up to the end.
With the accompaniment?
Yes. Okay. We've got a couple minutes left. I want to at least get you to the end on this.
Ich werde sie voranzücken, an diesen heißen Busen drücken, und ewig werde sie mein, und ewig werde sie dann mein, und ewig werde sie dann mein, ewig werde sie dann mein, ewig werde sie dann mein.
So I had a note here to that I was getting ready to correct you on, but you corrected it yourself. And that was on those last going up into those mines at the end. You really use those voice consonants to your advantage that time. Okay. And you didn't kill yourself on you went straight to the ah on those instead of going towards the E. Mine, the mine. Okay. And you did that without even me having to tell you. But the line and the sound, I don't know if you're more warmed up now or not, but the A flats at the end, I think sounded a bit more secure than some of the ones earlier in the piece. So how does that feel to you?
Much better, more supported. When I'm nervous, I have a tendency to tense up, especially.
Well, yeah, we all do. We all do.
Support, and it's not great.
Yeah, but the more you do this, the more you get used to it. So, we all have to deal with nerves. So it's just a matter of finding ways to help redirect them to your advantage, as you gain more experience. Okay. But wonderful job. It was great to hear you. And hopefully if you're still there, I get to hear you guys in person when I come out to Washington again.
Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, Kendon. Great job, singers. Really wonderful. Nice variety and some really, really good stuff. So we have a few minutes to take some questions. If anyone has questions for Lemmy, feel free to use the Q&A function. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat as well. There may be questions there.
I'm an open.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm an open book, so ask me whatever.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Uh-oh. Well, we'll see what we get here. Well, I have a question myself. to get started, and that is, so you worked with Richard Miller, who is kind of considered, I don't know, I guess you could kind of say he's sort of the godfather of modern vocal pedagogy. As far as, these days voice science is a big thing, and I would say that he was really ahead of the curve when it came to that, and he partnering with scientists and doctors and learning about anatomy, and well, teaching all of us singers about anatomy. um, and I'm wondering, what was it like to work with him? And from a standpoint of how technical did he actually teach in the studio when it came to the scientific and anatomical stuff that he was so known for? And what other takeaways did you have from that experience?
Oh, working with, I had a great experience working with Richard, with Mr. Miller. It was one of those things coming from someone who had not had much training. It took me a while to kind of get into the physiological and the scientific terms and whatnot that he would, just utter off in a normal conversation. So I had a steep learning curve coming in to his studio. But I think that also helped me because being a visual learner and being able to see the musculature that he's describing helped immensely. We had what we called the Otto Shepley Vocal Arts Center at Oberlin, which was a room where you could go and analyze your lesson tapes, and you could actually do spectrograph analysis of your tapes and whatnot. And it was great because we also had a library of some of the greatest singers to ever walk the planet that we could sit and analyze as well, and to see what acoustically set them apart from everyone else. It was great to be able to sit down and look at a spectrograph of UC Briolin or Wunderlich or Pavarotti. And we would sometimes even sit and listen to things like Ethel Merman. And it was funny because you would see in trained opera singers, you see these well-defined spectrographs of the voice, and you could pick out, oh, this is your formant, this is your first, this is your second, your third, and then you had someone like Ethel Merman, and you just have this big wash of sound. You couldn't pick out one formant from the next when it came to her. But I learned so much. Richard was great at kind of meeting us where we were in a way as students. I never felt pressured to have to perform to a certain level or standard. If something was beyond me, he was very patient man. He, it was great experience because I got to work as I got older to actually work with him on some of his studies, to travel with him to do. We did a study on. I'm trying to think of what they called it at the time, but it was a kind of a live X-ray.
Oh wow!
Of singers, and we did this big study, and it was filmed with doctors, and it was nothing to walk in and see doctors from the Cleveland Clinic there, who come in and do lectures for the vocal pedagogy class. It was great. I actually learned. I don't know if Miller knew where my voice was going at the time back then, but he was very careful with me vocally. Mm-hmm. But then there were times where he would kind of push me a little bit with whether it was in the choice of roles that I would learn or study, or even the roles that I would try out for at the school. For me, my biggest issue as a young singer was navigating the passaggio. I had a tendency to cover too much. And so I would get kind of this kind of woofy sound as I go through the passaggio, and then it would open up the high notes were always easy for me, but
Hmm.
going through that passaggio was, well, it was a beast.
That's
And,
tough for a lot of tenors. Yeah, yeah.
you know, he he knew that I wasn't one who kind of learned through vocalises and whatnot. So he started to adapt parts of operatic roles for me into vocalises and basically tricked me into figuring things out because I would sing something in an aria and be able to do it, but when it came time to doing it in vocalese, I would overthink it and kind of get myself into trouble. And so he concocted a way to work with me and to teach me.
Interesting.
And about my junior year is where I feel I really found my voice with him. Uh,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and that was when he finally put me up for a role that I would have never chosen to do at the time as a 20-year-old, which was Don Jose and Carmen.
Wow.
You know, and when it came up, I said, I don't think I'm ready for this. He goes, you're ready. You can do it. And and it was in that role that I really found my kind of niche and where my voice was going and the direction of my voice was in that.
Mm. Mm.
I wouldn't trade those years of working with him for anything. And
Well, he was obviously a great teacher because the way you sing now is a real tribute to that.
well, I worked with him, and the teacher I currently work with now out of Memphis was also somewhat of a protege of his,
Mm.
uh, who I met while I was doing on a research trip with him and in Memphis. And when I started singing again, I reached out to her knowing she was in Memphis, and I don't live too far from Memphis. And I said, I'm looking for, I think I'm going to try this singing thing again. So I'm looking for a teacher. I've done all that I can on my own, and now I need a
Mm-hmm.
set of ears that I can trust to
Mm-hmm.
kind of help me go to where I think I can go now. And she gave me names, and she said, well, you know that I'm teaching. And that was all I needed to hear. So I went and started working with her, did a sample lesson, loved it, and we've been working together ever since. And her name is Dr. Sandra Franks, and she teaches at Rhodes College in Memphis.
Mm-hmm. I've heard the name. Yeah, yeah, that's great.
But as far as Richard, I wouldn't trade those years for anything. I had the opportunity to go back to Oberlin in February. Actually, my very last performance before everything closed down due to COVID was at my alma mater at Oberlin, and it was a very emotional trip for me because it was my first time back on campus in 20 years.
I saw your social media posts about that. It looked like a real homecoming for you. So that's
Yeah,
great.
it was a great experience, and yeah, but working with Richard was, I still sit down with his books and read them, and I can sit there and you basically hear his voice talking to me.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
Books are written basically how he spoke.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, they're very clear. They're very clear. So, well, let me get to some questions here from some of our viewers. Now, Marissa Moultrie is a graduate, wonderful soprano. Hope you get to hear her sometime. She lives in New York now. She asks, how do you conceptualize legato?
I conceptualize legato. I think of it more as one the the when you start a line, each note, the ending of each note, you can't have that. You don't want to pulse, and you want to keep the sound level the same. So you don't want to keep anything that's going to break the line. As far as you got to have the breath, obviously, but when you think of the line, you think of this thread that goes through the text. Let's see if you take a text for soprano. Oh mio bambino caro. You speak that text in order to get the legato line there. Oh mio bambino caro. And then you build that into it so that you don't have anything, whether it's changes in volume or changes in the vowel. Everything can affect the line in legato. Whether you do weird things with your mouth on an ah vowel. Um, if you ever watch singers like Leontine Price, that was one of the ones we always studied a lot. Is if you watch The same thing when you don't want to do extra things that are going to disturb your line.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have what we call the bocca raccolta, the collected mouth one,
Mm-hmm.
always helps. But it also helps on your high notes. So if you ever watch a video of Leontine Price, when she sings a high note, it's almost like a freeze frame. Nothing moves, absolutely nothing, until she's ready to come off of it. And it's almost, you can almost feels like you pause the video because she held a note and it'd be ah, until she comes off of that note, nothing's gonna move. So you don't want to do anything. Every little thing we do can affect legato line. But I think the
Mm-hmm.
most part is being secure with the text and being able to speak the text in a legato manner, and then translating that into the actual vocalism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, okay, wonderful. Here's another question. Mackenzie Taylor, one of our currently enrolled wonderful sopranos. She says, I'm such a fan. Thank you for coming to PLU. You mentioned earlier that you took a break from singing. What made you decide to start singing again?
I think it was more of an interest of accidentally hearing what my voice, the changes in my voice. Um, During my hiatus, I did lots of things. I worked as a celebrity bodyguard for a number of years. I had my own security firm, and did concert tours and whatnot. Um, but I started working again in politics in 2007, and it was that really kind of led me back towards singing. We were out doing some political events, and my boss um, called me one day and said, "Hey, we have this event coming up, and we just got an email that they had a pageant queen who was going to come sing the national anthem for this event." I said, "Well, she's chickening out and she doesn't want to do it now." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll get someone else." He goes, "No, no, 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 no. I think you should sing it." And I said, well, I'm not singing the national anthem. He goes, "No, I looked at your resume. You used to be an opera singer. I think you can do it." And I said, "I haven't sung in a number of years. Well, nobody's going to notice. You're going to do it." I was like, "Well, he's my boss. I can't really say no." So I sang the national anthem, and I did it the one time, and I was like, "Okay, that was interesting. That was different." And then I did it a second event, and it was at that second event that I really noticed the changes in my tone, how the voice had kind of matured and settled, um, and some of the issues I'd had previously weren't there anymore. So it was obvious that the time away allowed some of the muscle memory to kind of go away, so that I wasn't doing some of the things that I were doing previously to some of the bad habits I had. Um, so that's what once the campaign was over, I started kind of secretly studying on my own again. I still had my lesson tapes from Oberlin. So I pulled all my lesson tapes out of storage and I started working on my own with those lesson tapes. And when I ran out of lesson tapes, that's when I started looking for another teacher. And I said, "Hey, something's interesting going on here. I need a set of ears. Can I come work with you?" And luckily I found a great teacher who was able to work with me. And that's basically where I got back to where I am now. I did my first competition in 2012, my first competition in 13 years, and won it, and haven't looked back since.
Well, wonderful. We're glad you found your way back.
I am too.
Yeah, yeah. So one more question here. Someone says, this is an anonymous person, says, what is your favorite role in opera? And how do you, well, that's a lot of questions actually. Okay, what's your favorite role in opera? How do you deal with stage fright? And how do you prepare your voice just before performing?
Favorite role is usually whatever I'm singing at the time. I don't necessarily have one particular favorite. Um, whatever I'm doing at the time, I tend to fully immerse myself into it, and try to bring something new to it each and every time that I do it. Um, I mean, I do have a soft spot for Othello. Um, that's one that I think I'll never get tired of singing. What was the other question?
How do you deal with stage fright, and how do you prepare your voice just before performing?
Stage fright is just one of those things that you just have to. I deal with it, and usually the last thing I usually do before I walk on stage is pray. That's how I deal with stage fright. I don't know, I'm not one to push my beliefs on other people, but whether it's praying or having some moment to just kind of meditate and kind of quiet yourself and to center your breath, um, that's usually the best way I found. I like to have those few minutes of just quietness by myself to just kind of get things centered and uh, and ready to go. Um, as far as okay, so it's stage fright, and then
Preparing the voice for that. They're kind of connected, aren't they?
yeah, it is. It's all part of the process of getting ready to perform. On a performance day, I'm one of those people. I'll wake up kind of late mid morning. I'll do a light warm up. I'll have some breakfast. I usually start off my warm ups with some humming. I usually don't do any full singing before noon, and unless it's a matinee, then I kind of bump things up schedule wise as to what I do. I'll do some light humming, and then I won't do any full singing until I actually get to the theater, usually about 2 hours before performance time. And even then, I'm not one of those people who'll warm up. I warm up to a certain point in my voice, and I'm one of those people. For some reason, if I know if my low notes are working, the high notes are going to be there, so I don't have to spend time, screaming B flats, B's, and C's to make sure they're there in the dressing room.
Yeah, don't wait. Don't waste those on the dressing room.
Yeah, that's what Miller used to always tell us. Don't waste those high notes in the dressing room.
That's great. Well, we are out of time, man. This really flew by. I wish we had a lot more time, but we will when you come back. We'd love to have you in person at PLU, and you got to come sing for us too.
I'd love to.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Once everything's clear and we can gather safely again, I would love to come back out to the Washington Pacific Northwest.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with that region and the few trips that I've made out there. So I'm really anxious to get back to see all the people and all the friends that I've made there. And
Absolutely.
too.
Yes, absolutely. So we hope you come visit us, and we'll definitely be in touch. And can't wait to hear your voice live again. But in the meantime, everyone check out Lemmy's online presence, which is he has a YouTube channel, some great videos on his YouTube channel. What is your YouTube channel?
It's www.youtube.com/LemmyP.
Lemmy P.
And then my website is LemmiePulliam.com. I also have some things on my Facebook artist page, Limmie Pulliam Tenor. And then I'm also on Instagram under Limmie Pulliam and Twitter. So.
Great. Well, we'll all be following, and I saw the clip of Bohème that you did with the members of Portland Opera Orchestra or something.
That's been a neat little project. And,
very cool. I saw Jose singing Marcello from China, and you're singing Rodolfo from Missouri. It's just crazy, but yeah, it sounded beautiful. It was my first time hearing you sing Rodolfo, so bravo, fabulous.
It's great that they asked me to do that, and they said, "Do you sing Rodolfo?" I was like, been about 20 years, but I'm sure I could do it again. And they're like, "Oh, well, we'd love to have you." I was like, "Well, I'd love to do it," and it's been fun.
Act three is right in the wheelhouse.
It really is.
All right, Lemmy. Thank you again, and we'll be in touch. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PLU, for having me, and thank you, Jim, and thank you, Dr. Soon. And we'll see you guys soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lemmy. Thanks, everyone.
Don't slack off during the quarantine. This is the time to do the work.
That's right. Thank you.